Hi everyone, this is Krishna Vandanapu, a Business Applications MVP, Microsoft Certified Trainer. Welcome to my channel. In this video, we will learn how to create a gallery with inline editing option. By end of this video, we will learn how to add a row in gallery and provide the values in the gallery itself and edit multiple rows in the gallery, delete, submit all the changes back to the data source in one click. If you are visiting my channel for the first time, this is the best time to subscribe to my channel to get all Power Platform updates and learn how to implement Power Platform artifacts in a performant way with Microsoft best practices. Before we implement, let us see the output we will achieve by end of this video. To prove that we can implement inline editing to any data source irrespective of its size, I have provided the data source with 200k records, wherein this is the list I am using as my data source. If you see, I have 215k records as part of my SharePoint list, and I can edit any record of this data source by clicking simply on this pencil icon, and it just turns into edit mode. Now this one I cannot do anything because by default it is disabled. Also, I can select any number of records, not one record, any number of records. And if I don't want that to perform, I can click on the reset. So it will make that record to read only mode. And if I want to delete, I can click on the delete option, and delete also I can reset if I want to change my mind. Now, if I click on this and let me change this option to say manager as Krishna and this manager as Sai, and when I go back and click on save, just to remember 953, 949 and 947, here I'm going to say -1, click on save. It will submit the data back to the data source and it will update in one click. So if you see here, when I come now, I have these data updated with Krishna and Sai, and one of the record I have updated the email ID as -1 and record number 952 got deleted. Similarly, I can add new records to data source by clicking on add new record icon, and I can add the demo 3 followed by demo 4. The time I added the full name as my mandatory field as part of my record, the save button got enabled. Now if I click on save, it submits data back to data source and it creates new records. I got 007 and 008 records got added to data source. If I go back and check in my data source, I can see both the records very much as part of my large data set. So this is how we can do add, delete, update operations in gallery itself. Let us implement the same functionality step by step from the scratch. I'm going to add a brand new screen. I have given the name for my screen as gallery inline editing. I went ahead and added the screen heading, also couple of icons to perform create, update, delete operations with the gallery. Now I'm going to add a blank vertical gallery and I'm giving my data source as employee details. I have added the gallery heading with the help of a horizontal responsive container with all the labels in it. Next one is in the gallery, I need to start adding the controls so that I can render the data coming from data source. So the first one I'm going to add as a label, which is going to be ID of my row, and the next one is text box because I want to give a full name for my user with the help of a text box, right? So this one has to be text box. What is the default value for this is this item dot full name, because full name is the column I have as part of my data source which shows the full name of the user. I went ahead and added all the remaining controls to the gallery and provided the default value for each and every gallery. For a date picker, what we have to do is for the default date of that is this item dot date of birth. For the combo, default value is this item dot the quarter of joining dot value, because this is pointing to quarter of joining field in the SharePoint list. And here this one I wanted to add the dollar value externally. So add the dollar value followed by this item dot salary in the SharePoint list. Similarly, email. And for the manager, I have to mention default selected items because this is a combo box. Whereas for drop down, I have to say default. For combo box, I have to say default selected items. Okay. So this is a people picker column. So it has to be under combo so that I can search against the AD. Let us see whether we are able to make the changes by default or not. I'm able to make changes happily, and also I can search the user as well. So basic operations are going smooth. Our next requirement is by default, the gallery has to be in read only, and we have to have a pencil icon here. When user click on pencil, that is when that particular record has to go in edit mode, correct? Let us update the display mode property of all these controls to disabled. Now display mode of this to disabled by default. Here it is. Now it makes the entire gallery to be read only. But when I wanted to edit this column is when user click on the pencil icon. Let's go ahead and add the pencil icon. Add a image control because I want to add a pencil image, and the image I wanted to render through this is pencil. Where is this pencil coming from? I have uploaded all the icons as part of my image library under my app. So what? When I say pencil, it is referring to the pencil. When user click on pencil, all these things should go on to edit mode. How I can do that is go to display mode property of these controls, and you can say if this item dot is selected, then I want to say display mode dot edit. If not, the display mode has to be disabled. Okay. By default, the first row will come as selected. If you want to avoid that, select the gallery, go to default of this gallery and just say curly braces like this. So that will make the first row default selection to false in the gallery. Now run the app. When I click on this pencil icon, there you go. This particular record is in edit mode. Let's go ahead and click on 006. When I click on this row became disabled because I am operating in one record mode. But what I want is user should be able to select more than one record to update in bulk, right? So in order to achieve that, what I have to do is I have to collect all the selected records into a collection and then check the display mode property against the collection. First, on visible property of the screen, just say clear of a collection name as collection selected items. Also reset the gallery because as soon as I come into the screen, I want my gallery to be loaded afresh. So what I'm saying, like reset gallery, so it will reload the gallery and I'm clearing a collection. So I have a fresh collection here. So that collection I'm going to use here, stating that collection name followed by this item. What I'm doing, as soon as I click on that pencil icon, I'm adding that to the collection so that all my selections will be added to the collection. Now this collection holds the ID of each and every selected record. So the display mode should work in such a way that if this record ID is part of that collection, then I can make it to edit. Now I'm not going to validate against is selected. I'm going to validate is this record ID is part of my collection or not. Is blank of lookup collection ID equal to this item dot ID. If this item ID is part of this collection, then it will return the record. Is blank of the record will be false, so it will make the record or control in edit mode. If it is not there, what happens? It will return the empty row. Is blank will become true and it will make the control in disabled mode. Let us run and see how it will behave. When I click on this pencil, this particular row is coming in edit mode. When I click on this is also coming in edit mode. When I click on this, all three rows are coming properly in the edit mode, right? So I'm able to edit more than one record happily. Now if I examine my collection, my collection will have 3 rows and they are the selected rows 8, 6 and 7. And if you notice, the IDs are coming as per the order we selected. If user want to unselect the edit mode, we have to convert this to cancel, correct? If the ID is there, then the pencil has to tilt to cancel icon. The way how we have done here, copy the same formula, go to the pencil, under image property, paste the formula. Here what we are doing is, if the item is existed in the collection, then I am showing the cancel icon. If not, I am showing the pencil icon. Now if I just go here, select this, there you go. Now that we are able to convert the icon, now we need to change the functionality of on select. What is the functionality we have to write here is, if the item is not existed, if it is blank, then I'm adding to the collection. If the item is existed, I'm removing from the collection. Now if I play the app, if I click on this cancel icon, automatically my user edit selection is converting back to disable mode. So what is the next thing is, if user make changes, this has to go and submit back to data source, right? For that, we have a save icon here. Let's enable the save icon. On the image visible, what I'm doing is, if count rows of collection selected item is greater than 0, then show the icon. If not, make the icon false. Now that I have selected one record, the save icon is visible. If I just unselect this, it got disappeared because the collection is blank. I wanted to save the changes back to data source. So go to on select property. Here we need to write the formula patch, whatever the data source it is. My data source is this data source, followed by my collection selected items. This one single statement will update all the rows which are updated in the gallery, because the patch will update this data source with the collection, because collection has record as the unique identifier. Whatever the ID I have, it will update the respective record back to data source. I need to update the collection as and when I update my value. If not, it will not get the latest value. What I did is, on my text box, on change event of my text box, I am updating my collection in such a way that update if collection ID equal to this item.id, email is whatever the email value I have as part of my text box. Similarly, all the other controls also. Only one tricky thing is, for people picker, on change event of the people picker combo box, you have to specify as self.selected display name is blank or not, because if you are not validating that self.selected item, it will end up throwing an exception as I'm not able to find the selected user, because it always gets the blank. So for all the controls, go to on change property and write this formula to update the collection with the new value as part of the control. Now if I go here and click on this button, what it will do, it will update the data back to data source. Now if I go back here and refresh the SharePoint list, I can see my changes here. But once I update the data, I should release my collection, right? I have to clear my collection. If not, what happens is, every time it will update the same set of records. So what I have to do, I have to say clear collection selected items. Now if I do the same operation one more time, this time I'll say 1, 2, 3, 1. Now when I click on the save icon, this time it updates the data back to data source and also refresh my gallery. Because I'm clearing my collection, it makes these controls into read only, because if the collection is not holding this item ID, it automatically go back to disabled state. Now if I come back here and see the data source, I see the latest values. So this way I can update any number of records, which is good. Now if I want to delete more than one record, how I can do that is, go ahead and add the delete icon first. Again, one more image. This image is going to show the trash icon. How we have implemented the edit, similarly we will implement for trash also. But This time what we will do, we will add these selected records for deletion into another collection, because this time I am going to add another set of data, correct? So select this. Before that, we have to go to on visible property of the screen and just say clear collect delete records. So this collection has to be clear. Now go out and come back to the screen. Now I have my collection clear. I don't have any records as part of this collection. Go on to on select property of this. I have to add all the records, collection deleted records, right? Copy this. Now the image had to be flipped from trash icon to cancel, because if user change their mind, I have to change the image like the way how we have implemented here. Copy that, come here, same, but here we need to say delete. Similarly, the collection has to be delete records. So in this time, I'm checking the ID is part of the deleted record set, then you show the cancel icon. If it is not part of the collection, then show the delete icon. Now if I just click on this, there you go, it started showing me the cancel icon. And if I come here, I'll see all the selected records, but user doesn't know what operations we are performing. Just to be more user friendly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more line here. So I have a separator line, copy and paste the same line, but this line position is not that, say like 20. So it comes right here, and the width has to be only up to here. Height is say like 3 pixel height, and the color is red. So this line has to be visible only if the record is available, right? So select that same formula, go to visible property of that line, say this. Then if the record is available, then only it has to show. If not, it has to be false, right? Now say true. Now if the record is selected, that particular row is striked off, and I just say this out. So if I select, then only I'm seeing that red line on that record. This is how I can differentiate whether user is performing a edit or delete operation, correct? Assume that user want to delete these two records, but I'm not getting my save icon enabled, because if you remember, save icon we are only enabling if there are records as part of the selected items. But what we wanted to show, if there are records as part of deleted collection also. Copy and say collect delete records. So if there are any records as part of selected items or deleted items, I wanted to do that, which is fine. Now on select property of this, earlier what we are doing a patch with that collection. Now how can we remove the items which user selected which are existed as part of that collection? What it will do is, if I say remove, it will remove all the records from the data source where the IDs existed as part of this collection. Now what I'm going to do, 5 and 7 I wanted to get rid of, 5 and 7, correct? Now let's see how it will behave. Save, it has to get rid of that 2 records. There you go, 5 and 7 is off now. When I go to data source and refresh the data source, 5 and 7 is out. This is how I can do bulk editing and bulk deletion in the gallery with inline editing option. What else we need to add to this screen is, we need to add an icon to reset all the selections of user, which means to refresh the gallery. So for that, we have one more icon called refresh icon. So on select of that image, on select property of that icon, what I have to do, I have to clear the collections, where is clear selected item and clear deleted records. Both the collections have to be refreshed. Also I need to refresh the gallery. Now if I just do that, it just wipes out the collections, and since there is no data in collection, the refresh icon also off. Now if I go and select something, though I unselect that, this icon is still there because I have one item as part of deleted records. Now if I uncheck that, that will also go off. When I refresh that, it just refreshed my gallery. What else is left is adding records to gallery. For that, what I have to do is I have to add a dummy gallery into the screen with the same set of records. Let me go ahead and add the same gallery, copy and paste the same gallery, but I wanted to make that gallery to be visible with another collection. What is that collection? As a new item collection. Let's see how it works. Now I'm copying and pasting the same gallery here. I have copy pasted the same gallery on the same screen, but what I did is I have positioned this gallery with the name as gal new items underscore 1, and I have positioned this gallery right after the heading of my gallery because I am using the same set of columns, but the values will differ. Since I copy pasted the same gallery, I see the data source are same. Data source is same as SharePoint list, sorting with ID in descending, same thing I have, but I need to change that. First thing what I'm going to do is for a new item, I don't require the pencil icon because either add or delete. So all I need is only trash. And the second thing is I don't want to send the data source as my items. All I have to do is I have to create another collection which says that these are my new items, correct? So I need to create one more collection on my screen on visible which says that clear collection new items. My collection is fresh and clear. I also have to do another operation as I need to get one dummy record where the record value is defaults of the data source. When I do that, what it will give me is an empty shell with the same schema of my SharePoint list. I repeat, I am just creating a variable as set a variable followed by defaults of my data source. When I do this, it will return the schema of this table as a empty record to my variable. And then also I'm just initializing my row count because I wanted to show how many new records I'm adding as part of my gallery here. So I'm just using this as a counter. So as soon as I click on my plus icon on the screen, I need to add dummy records to the gallery so that user will provide whatever the information they wanted to provide. So now select this here on select property of the image. What I'm doing, I'm just saying like collection new items patch with the empty record, but the ID is whatever the ID I have with the screen. First value is 1 because I have provided the screen on visible property where row count equal to 1. When I go out of the screen and come back to the screen, it will initialize the where row count. Now it is 1. If I go here and just see on select property of the image, this time my row count is 1. So what my ID will be 1, and thus that is what is my first ID value of this record, because the rest of the values are blank. This is where the collection is, and once I add one dummy record, I need to increase the counter. If not, I will not be able to get it. So now I'll change the items property to collection new items. If you see here, automatically it will come with a blank record set. Since I have provided the height of this gallery as 250 pixel by default, I see this much height. But if I just say the same thing in a logical way, as the formula I'm writing as, if the collection items new items are less than 6, then say the height of the gallery as new items dot template height, whatever is the template height is 57 here, so 57 multiplied by number of rows in that gallery, followed by if the items are more than 6, I wanted to multiply with 6 because I don't want to show the gallery height more than 6 rows height. Now go ahead and click on this. There you go. I got one dummy record here. On the text value of this item ID, I'm going to just say this item.id. So I'm just showing the ID because the ID counter is 1. Now if I add one more second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row, sixth row, but thereafter I'm going to get the scroller here. So if I don't want any of these records to be posted back, I need to say remove item, new item dot this item. Say this, there you go. The records are going out. Similarly, on change of this text box, I have to update the new items collection. Earlier we have updated the selected item collection, but this time we have to update the new item collection. Now if I just say demo 4, but if you notice the save icon is not coming at all. The reason is on the save icon, we have written a logic in such a way that show the save icon only if there are items as part of deletion and selection. But this time I have to add one more as count rows of collection new items also. If there are any items as part of the new item collection also, I wanted to show that. Similarly, on select property of that, earlier we were just patching this and removing the items. But here we have to do one small trick in such a way that as this. I'm simply patching the data source, but I'm updating the collection before I add that in such a way that if ID is greater than 0, if ID is greater than 0 means like all the collections will have some ID, right? 11 and 12. Those IDs I'm making it blank. Remember, if I do a patch with SharePoint list with ID blank, that will be considered as a new item and it will create a new item in the SharePoint list. Let us see whether this function will work or not. Now I'm going to play and click on save. What it has to do is it has to save the items and it has to get me back the latest data source. There you go. It saved both the items, but I see these two also because once I save the items, I am not clearing the collection. I'm only clearing the selected items, but all I have to do is I need to clear the selected items, deleted items, and also the new items. One more record and say demo 6. Now, if I just click on save, it has to create 2 new records in the data source, and also it should refresh the screen with the new records in disable mode. Click on save. The time I click on save, it just posts back the data, and if you see 7 and 8 got updated in the SharePoint list. If I refresh the data source, demo 7, demo 6, demo 5, demo 4, demo 3, there it is. Now I see all the records in disabled mode. This is how I can make my app more lightweight and I can do all my operations with inline gallery editing option. Let's run the app with all operations. Now I'm just editing and I'm deleting this and I'm going to add one new option, say demo. I'm adding demo 8 as a new record and I'm going to update the demo 7 and I'm deleting the record demo 5. Now if I just click on save, it has to add one, update one, delete one. 5 has to go off. Let's see. I clicked on save button. It is posting back to the data source. There you go. 5 is out. 7 got updated with 14 and 8 got added. If I go back to the data source, now I see 5. If I refresh the data source SharePoint list, 5 is no longer in my data. This is how I can create an app with a single gallery to do all CRUD operations. I hope you learned how to create a gallery with inline editing option to perform add, update and delete operations with Microsoft best practices. If you like the video, hit like, add your comments, subscribe to my YouTube channel for all future notifications. Thank you. Have a nice day.